Hey, I'm Andrew with the REI Hillsboro team, and I am trying to make some educational videos around backpack fitting, but specifically troubleshooting backpack fitting. If you go out there on YouTube, you're going to find tons of videos on how to fit a backpack and measuring your torso length and adjusting torso and that kind of thing, but I, in my limited research, had a hard time finding any videos on like troubleshooting that. What happens when you measure somebody correctly and you put the pack on and hey, it's digging in, I'm getting a lot of pressure here, it's uncomfortable here, the hip pad is digging in. When can you adjust those things out? When is it just, hey, there's no amount of adjustment we can do, we just need to go to a new pack. So I'm going to be addressing one really specific thing that comes up in some of my pack fits, and this might end up being multiple different pack fit videos, but the idea behind it is to just increase the expertise in this particular area. This will help with the Signature Fit series, or Signature Fits that we're doing, and it's just good to know information. So right now I have the TrailMade 60 on. I'm a 19-inch torso length. I've got the hip belt set, and this pack for me is not super comfortable, a little more of a lumbar support than I think I would like, but just using this as a demonstration. So we're going to be talking specifically around your load lifter straps, and what I get with folks is we'll put the pack on, hip belt set, shoulder straps tightened, and we say, hey, we want good contact with the shoulder strap should have good contact with your body, no big gaps here, and so right now this looks pretty good. Then we'll go to the load lifter straps. What people do is they pull these. As soon as they start pulling the pack weight closer to them, they go, oh yeah, and they go, and that tends to feel the best. The closer the pack is to your body, typically the more comfortable it is. I use the analogy with people of when you're giving somebody a piggyback ride and they hang off your back like this. What do you like to do with them? You pull them up and close to your body. We like them close. We like the pack being close. But what will happen is people will tighten these and then there's a gap. So that has pulled this shoulder strap up. There's a little bit of a gap back here. It's not super obvious. And they'll go, oh, well, does it fit? Is this good? Like, I have a gap now. I thought you said it was supposed to be flush. And in the past, I've been like, yeah, it's not ideal, but maybe let's loosen this. And so here's what I want to talk about though. So that gap, is that okay or not? Before I do that, and this is just loose, I feel probably about 60% of the weight, 50-60% of the weight, kind of on my lower back, and that translates to maybe another 20%. Feels like it's on my hips. And then I get pressure kind of around my shoulders. Probably the majority of it is here though, but it's not super heavy here. It's gonna feel more comfortable where the pack sits as I pull it closer, but there's gonna be a trade-off. So I like the feeling of the pack close to my body, but what happens, and I can feel it, even if I just do this a little bit, is the more I pull these, the more that the pressure leaves around my shoulders and starts to press in here. Now, is that a problem? Kind of. It's right over my lungs. And so I can tell it's harder for me to breathe. Now I can back this sternum strap to separate these, but now this will dig here. And so it's uncomfortable either over my lungs as it makes it harder to breathe, or kind of digging into my shoulders. So, but I like, again, the pack being close to my body. So there's gonna be a little bit of a trade-off. Hey, I prefer it close, but yeah, this is tight. So we might have to, well, maybe we can't have it quite as close as we'd like. Let's back that off a little bit. But it takes a lot of pressure off here. Weight is still distributed pretty good here. Maybe not perfect. Maybe I'm starting to get a little more pressure here, but it's kind of a balance between the two. So tighten those those load lifters. Is that gap okay? The gap's not a huge deal, but pay attention to where the pressure changes. You're gonna get it a lot right here, and just informing the customer about that may not be ideal. If you have trouble breathing, if you're at higher altitudes, if you're hiking and it's pretty intense, it's very steep, that kind of thing. So just talk them through that. It's less about is is there a gap or isn't there? Again, ideally the weight's distributed across the shoulder, but typically as soon as you start pulling on the load lifters, that's going to pull that off and it's going to start translating up here. So hopefully just some tidbits on how to talk through that, because I get it a handful of times a year. Yeah, just another little bit there. Maybe in the future we'll talk a little bit more about shoulder straps in general and what happens if it digs here, too much pressure here, and that kind of thing. But for now, that specific issue with load lifter straps.